Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Everyone's here. Yeah, everyone present. Afternoon, Gary. Thank you for joining us. We will do some introductions, and then I'll set out some of the process and how we'll manage this afternoon, if that's okay with you. So Gary, do you want to introduce yourself, and then I'll go to Claire, then Siobhan, then Rosalind.
Yeah, my name's Gary Moran, and I started a degree in adult nursing in 2020 in September. I was withdrawn in May, and I'm still waiting.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you, Gary. We'll get to the crux of the purpose of the meeting in a moment, but thank you for that. Okay. Claire?
Hello all, my name is Claire Marr and I'm the Director of Programmes from the University for Midwifery, and I'm here in a professional capacity.
Thank you, Claire. Siobhan?
Hi, good afternoon, Gary. I'm Siobhan Farrell-Pierce and I'm a social worker by profession. I'm a social work lecturer and programme lead on the BA course and for apprenticeships, and I'm Deputy Chair of the Fitness to Practice panel.
Thank you, Siobhan. Rosalind?
Hello, Rosalind Murphy, Clinical Quality Assurance Manager in North Central London, and I'm here as the clinical representative.
Thank you, Rosalind. And Autumn?
My name's Autumn, I'll be taking the minutes.
Okay. So Autumn's here in the capacity to take minutes, and so doesn't need to have her camera on because she's not engaging in the process as such. But we'll take some notes. Gary, we're going to, for the purposes of these meetings, it is common practice to record so that we have a true record. But once the minutes, meetings are done, then we can delete that recording in line with current process. So, Autumn, is everybody okay with that? Okay, so. Brilliant, thank you everyone. Gary, I'm Cathy Wilson, I'm Head of Practice Learning. I'm part of the faculty leadership team, and so not directly linked to any of the programmes as such. So I'm also the NMC official correspondent, which means I communicate and they communicate directly with me, but all decisions around fitness to practice, registration, etc., are taken by the programme leaders and their directors of programme, because they're professionally responsible for all of those decisions. They're not decisions that I can take or make in relation to it. So I've been asked to chair this appeals panel today. Gary, I'm going to kind of just outline for the purpose of everyone some of the reasons why we're at this stage today in terms of an appeals panel, taking it from the appeals panel, and then I will let you respond to that in terms of why you have submitted this appeal, and then each of the members will ask questions. I'm here to really direct the conversations and try and keep us within time and not to sort of, over repeat stuff that we feel that everybody has adequately explored in many ways. So we're taking this, Gary, from the 5th of July, where we had confirmation of the panel decision, where you had outlining the reasons for the panel decision in terms of your fitness for practice, saying that they were not reassured that you had the instance professional nature of the behaviour and conduct, that they found your significant lack of awareness and insight into the professional implication in relation to non-disclosure of the DBS, the nature of information, dishonesty in relation to your COVID-19 diagnosis, but obviously we have confirmed that you never did have a COVID-19 diagnosis as such, but we will explore that obviously, and inability to follow reasonable instructions as compatible with the NMC code. You responded on the 13th, and you have given us a detailed response, presented in block capitals with many items in bold. Some of those areas will be explored by the group here, or the team here today. And you were then asked to indicate which grounds of appeal you were basing it on, and you indicated all 4 areas, and we will explore that obviously with you. Relation to serious administrative procedural error, that there's additional and relevant evidence that was not for good reason available at the time, the decision not being supported by evidence, and no reason for the decision was given. So you're opinion on all of those areas. So today we will explore that with you. This group then will make a decision of which you will be informed within 5 days of that final decision. And following that then, there will be no, if the decision, your appeal, has not been upheld, then there will be no further, you'll be informed, so there'll be no further right of appeal against the decision, though obviously you can still appeal with external support through the OIA, for example. But we will wait for the final decision on that in terms of what happens today. So, Gary, can I ask you then to respond to reasons for your appeal, because it's not fully clear within your statement around which of the areas your appeal aligns with in terms of the 4 areas that are presented as part of the appeals process. So if you can give us some understanding of that, please.
I declared the DBS way before the time. Yeah, I didn't lie about anything. So I don't know. The DBS was declared way before I started the course. Maybe on 2 occasions. I had meetings with the DBS team. I tried to contact the DBS team. I think it was Salma Nasser who I spoke to. I had a video link. I brought all of my stuff down to the campus itself. So I don't see where I was withholding anything. Why would I? There's no reason for me to lie. What, and jeopardize 3 years of a career, of a potential career?
Gary, you are cutting out on it.
Okay, can you hear me?
You are cutting out on us.
Okay.
I did hear you asking to hear you, but you are freezing a little bit, Gary. Is there...
I'll try and improve my... But anyway, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I didn't lie about the DBS. Why would I? I don't see why I would lie. There's no reason for me to lie. Yeah. That's the problem. Yeah.
Sorry, we can, if you can talk us through then in relation to, so the DBS will pick up the DBS with you. You refer to additional and relevant evidence that was not for good reason available at the time the decision was made. Can you give us any insight into what that is?
Yeah. I showed my DBS at the time they asked me to show the DBS. Way before the course started.
So,
they've actually wasted a whole year of education for me, and now I don't have any credits or anything to show for it. I'm being stigmatized with other universities. They've taken money for tuition that was never served. So I'm just wondering what's going on, you know? I showed my DBS. I told them what happened. I told them exactly what happened. So I don't see whether it wasn't my miscommunication. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there were other things. Siobhan, do you want to come in at this stage and ask any further questions about the DBS? Siobhan, you're on mute. Sorry.
Sorry about that. So Gary, I just would like you to clarify for me, in relation to your DBS, the conviction. What was that exactly? Can you explain what?
Yeah, it was an email.
What that actually amounted
I sent an
to?
email.
Because it's quite clear there was a conviction.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I sent an email to someone who owed me money, and they took out a no contact order, and I didn't obey it, I suppose, and then I got arrested, and that was that.
Right. So there was the conviction is in relation to
Just not
a
obeying
non-molestation
a
order,
restraining order.
which breached.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I told
On
which I told your DBS team back in June or even before that, way before the course started. Yeah. They were well up on that. I showed them everything. There was I've got nothing to hide. There's no need for me to be in this position. Why would I lie? Yeah.
I'm not going to get into the would you lie or not. I just want to be clear about what the actual conviction is.
Yeah.
So
Send them an email.
On the document, it doesn't say restraining order. It says non-molestation order and breach of.
Yeah.
So what did that went to? I just want to clarify. That went to a criminal court.
Magistrate.
Magistrates. And did you plead guilty to that?
Yeah.
Did you attend or represent it?
Yeah, I was just honest.
Yeah. So you pleaded guilty to it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just curious because under usual interviewing structures, those people who interview you would explore where you have said that there is a contact with the police or a contact with social services or a complaint, and where there is a conviction, we would invite you at that point to have a discussion with those panel members who are interviewing. Yeah, I've seen the actual paperwork that has been completed, and that doesn't appear to have happened, and you've said no, there wasn't a conviction. So is that accurate or not?
No.
It's not accurate. So you did discuss
my first
it
interview, I don't remember any of that.
Oh.
I just knew that I had to declare criminal record or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. And when did you declare it via paperwork?
Yeah. I mean, I had paperwork, and I also just did a 1-to-1. I just told him exactly what happened. Yeah.
Right.
Way before the course started. Yeah. Way before, months before the course started. Yeah.
I'm talking about at interview when you
I don't remember that conversation.
You don't remember? Do you remember your interview?
Yeah, but it was very quick. It wasn't really about declaring anything. I don't remember any questions like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I have in relation.
If they asked me in the interview, in the primary interview, if they said, if you have a DBS or you have a criminal record, this is a waste of time for you. Professional degrees are not for you anymore because you've been, whatever, marginalised. I would have said, thanks for your time, goodbye. Simple as that. So that didn't happen. Okay? There's no way that happened because I'm not going to waste my time. I know you can find out everything. I know I have to be honest. Why would I waste a whole year of education? £9,250 I'm going to have to pay back now. Also, I took out a load of student loan credit as well. Why would I put myself in that position? There's no logic. There's no logic to that.
I appreciate that you're. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I've got nothing to gain. I've got nothing to gain from that.
Okay.
Because I know that you'd find out anyway. Okay.
All right. So, DBS is one area that we wanted to explore with you in terms of the conviction, and then there are other areas obviously that we want to explore with you also. Yes, you're on the course, and then there are a number of other areas outlined which impacted on the decision at the first panel that we need to explore. Claire, do you want to pick up on any of those, or shall I go to Rosalind?
Sorry, Kathy, I think Ros next, please.
Okay, Rosalind, do you want to pick up on a couple of areas from your perspective?
Yeah, hello, Gary. One of the things, a couple of things I'd like to pick up on. One is your decision to leave the ward without telling anybody that you were leaving. Can you just talk me through that? Because the ward staff would have been expecting you for a shift that day. So whilst I see in your notes that in your mind you didn't register as having arrived, so you didn't need to register as you're leaving, but there is a shift rota of everybody who's expected, and you would have been on it. So even though you hadn't technically in your mind logged in, I just want to get an understanding of your awareness of the impact of your decision on the ward staff.
You'll have to be more detailed, because I'm not sure which place you're referring to.
In the notes, it said you turned up one day for a shift and you
Maybe
didn't feel very well.
Is that North Middlesex? I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Carol Ward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was told
yes,
within 24 hours, that I'd be going to the Whittington Hospital for a 9 to 5 5-day placement. Yes. Within 24 hours of that, I was sent an email that I was going to the North Mid at 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, okay, I went into the North Mid, and straight away I had nowhere to change. Okay. I couldn't change my clothes, and they kept on telling me that you couldn't just bring your uniform there, which is fair enough. I hadn't even been. I wasn't even in the place. I was only in where the reception is. All right. I had a conversation with Elena Marino. She got the idea that I didn't really like the place, so I didn't really see the need to tell anyone, because I didn't actually register. I didn't actually clock in or whatever. Yeah. So I didn't.
But they were expecting you.
But
Every
the
area.
university knew straight away, and they phoned me straight away. So
No,
I was walking away,
Gary,
and they already phoned me. Elena already phoned me. She was already calling me. So I thought, well,
Gary,
yeah.
I'm talking about the ward area. The clinical staff on the ward would have known that you were due to do a shift that day, but you
Yes.
didn't tell anybody that you were leaving. And this was, in the paperwork, this was due to you not feeling well and losing your sense of taste and smell, not that you had nowhere to get changed. That was the reason that it's documented that you decided to leave.
I
But what I want to
I
understand
decided
is-
to leave for that because I was feeling a bit ill as well.
Yes. So the ward staff are expecting you. You're on the rota. I want to understand what you think the impact on them was of you just deciding not to turn up and not tell anybody that you weren't going to do the shift.
I guess they were expecting me. Yeah.
Yeah, they were expecting you. But what was the impact then on the shift that day for those staff?
Well, they might have put aside some stuff for me to do, or that they were probably planning to teach me some procedures. I'm not sure, to be honest, because I didn't speak to the sister long enough. Yeah.
Okay, so upon reflection, do you think that you should have said to somebody, I don't
Yes.
feel very well, I'm not going to do the shift?
Yeah, I handled it completely unprofessionally, because I'm only a student nurse, and that was my first ever time that I've ever been to a placement. So I didn't know what the protocol was, to be honest.
Yes, I understand you're new to student nursing, Gary, but I suspect that you're not new to working. So wherever you work, irrespective of it being in a hospital or anywhere, there's an impact on your colleagues if you just
To be honest
don't
with
turn
you,
up.
I've never had a job in which I've never done that kind of work before. To be honest, I've never been in that. I've never had that problem. Yeah, where I've had to tell everyone
Okay.
everything. I've never worked in such a larger team or in an institution like the NHS. I've never worked within that kind of environment before. Yeah, to be
Okay,
honest.
thank you. And then the second thing I'd like to pick up was that you left that day because you weren't feeling very well. You'd lost your sense of taste or smell, and that it might have been COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the request was made to you via email, and we all know the same request. It's very clearly publicised since March 2020 that if somebody thinks they've got symptoms, anybody, not just healthcare workers, but anybody, you should get a PCR test done. And it was emailed to you to request that you do that and you provide the results. But that seems to have been a bit of an issue for you. So I'd like to explore that.
Do
And
you mean
why you
do you
then
mean a
turned
flow
up the
test?
next day.
Are you talking about a
Pardon?
flow test?
No. A collateral flow test is what you take when you haven't got symptoms. So we do that regularly, just to show we haven't got symptoms that are masking. Some people have COVID and don't show any symptoms, so that picks up those.
Okay.
But for people who have symptoms like a fever, a cough, or loss of taste or smell, it's very clearly publicised everywhere in the media, on all of the websites, that you need to register and go and get a proper test done.
Okay.
And you were asked to do that on the email, but the following day you turned up back on the ward.
But I was sent away straight away though, yeah?
But you went the next day, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you left one day thinking that you might have COVID, you hadn't had a test done to clear yourself, why did you go back the next day?
Because I knew I didn't have COVID, or I wouldn't have
How did you
I wouldn't
know?
have gone back.
How did you know?
Because I was feeling fine.
But you hadn't had a test done.
But I knew I was feeling great. I didn't feel any kind of like mild pneumonia or anything, because I had it before. I had it last year, yeah, or 2 years ago.
COVID 2 years ago.
I had it the first time it came out. Yeah, the very first time that it was in January 2020. I got it for 4 days. It's like pneumonia. It's very quick. I was in bed for 4 days. Yeah.
Okay, so then if you already had it and you know that it's quite a debilitating condition, you must understand the importance of healthcare staff who think they've got symptoms not going to work unless they've got a clear test.
I was in the ward for less than 10 seconds. I just went straight out again.
But it's Gary, it's the principle of the thing that you thought you had COVID one day.
If I had COVID, I would have definitely been full blown, wouldn't I? I didn't have any effects at all. Yeah. The next day.
Ros, can I just clarify something?
Yeah, sure.
With Gary. Gary, you mentioned you had COVID in January 2020.
Yeah.
Did you have a PCR test to confirm it at that time?
No.
No. Okay.
But I've already had pneumonia before.
Before PCR test.
I had pneumonia years before, and I know I've had flu. And it was nothing like those, yeah. And I read all of the stuff that you're supposed to look for, and it was just after there was an outbreak, yeah, on the tubes. I got it. I think I got it on the London Tube. Obviously, I can't prove that, and I can't say that I had a test. So you're right. I mean, I don't know if I had it or not, but from what people have been saying, from what the news was saying, it definitely, yeah.
Gary,
I can't guarantee. I can't say that I had it or not. I'm just saying I think it was COVID. Yeah.
Okay. Gary, can I ask you something? Then this really goes to the heart of it. I think when all of the government guidance was asking people to take certain courses of action, and in the current climate and the pressure on the NHS, which was news every single day. Why was it that you didn't simply take that test and settle it? Why did you not do that? I really don't understand
the PCR test, yeah?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm asking. Why was it that you didn't do that?
Where was it though? Where would I have got the test?
I'm just asking you that question. Would you mind answering it for me, please?
Because I wasn't. After that, I was in lockdown and I didn't go to university or placements after that.
No, but the advice is generally that people go and get that test, and you've been advised to do that. So why did you not do it, especially on a nursing program?
Because
I really need you to explain that to me.
I guess I just didn't know where to find a PCR test, because I don't know where they was it at the stations. I'm not even sure.
Have you got access to the internet, and there's guidance from the university as well? Because I would have been able to find that in a couple of clicks myself, and have had to for my students. So can you explain to me why you weren't able to access that process too?
Because the main reason was because I wasn't at university and I wasn't at a hospital and I had no more placements. I was just at home on the computer, like studying, yeah. So it wasn't really pending. It wasn't really a problem.
So you had access to the computer and access to the information and advice that Middlesex has on its website.
Yeah, but it's
COVID-19.
yeah, but it's not like I was doing a placement the next day that, you know, there was an ultimatum. Oh, you better get this PCR done. It was just a threat. Get the PCR done and show me it to prove that you obey my instruction. It was like, wasn't it?
No,
it wasn't about the placement. It wasn't about that.
No, I hear what you're saying
hospital.
about the placement, but the
There
general
was an order,
advice
yeah?
that that's what happens. That's what you do, and it's to protect, you know, those people that you come into contact with as well as yourself. So my curiosity was, why was it that you didn't take that course of action? And I think you've answered that for me. I don't think I can you know, press you any further on that point.
Thank you, Siobhan. Thank you, Siobhan. Rosalind, was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, not at the moment, thanks.
Okay. Claire.
Thank you, Kathy. Gary, just a couple of things to ask you about. So we've here issue around, you know, instructions and the ability to follow instructions. You know, following up on guidance that you're given about doing a test or something like that. You know, we've asked you about DBS. We have records to show that you were asked about your DBS at your interview. You're not recalling those questions. Can I ask you, can you understand why people are concerned from a point of view of you being somebody who wishes to go forward, train as a nurse, go on to the NLC register as a registrant? Can you understand why we're concerned about your communication here and your ability to follow instructions?
No. Please explain.
Well, I think I have, but we're concerned about the fact that you're not able to follow instructions in relation to what you should be doing. So there was an issue of being allocated to a nursery placement that you decided you didn't need to attend. That was an instruction to attend. There was
okay.
Yeah, there was a request that you undergo a PCR test because you had said you had symptoms. You didn't follow that instruction. There was a question at interview. Have you got anything on a DBS? You apparently said no in relation to that, and I recognise you said you don't recall that.
So you think I'm lying about the DBS?
No, I don't know.
That's what it sounds like.
Can you see why we are concerned about your communication and your ability to follow instructions?
I don't understand what you mean. I'm not in the military, am I? Did I join the army? Have I just joined the army? I'm just wondering because I'm not sure what you mean. Do I not have free will? I mean, at the end of the day.
In what way are you referring to free will in this context, Gary?
Like, for example, the PCR you're talking about that you're
okay. So
we've
dealt
about.
with the PCR.
I didn't have. It's not about responsibility though. That was just that was a threat. Like for me to do a PCR, I wasn't going to another placement. I wasn't even going to the Middlesex University. I was never going to be put anyone in harm's way. It's just a threat, yeah?
Gary, I think Siobhan summarised the point about the PCR, and I think we can move on from that. And it was really about protecting not only yourself...
It's not protecting, though, because I was never going back to replacement and I was never going to the university for at least another 6 months.
Gary,
yeah?
Gary, if you had been positive for COVID-19 whilst being on a ward... whilst leaving the ward, travelling home, etc., do you recognise that might have been a risk to anybody?
But I wasn't positive. Okay.
Well, I think we drawn the conclusion that we don't know if you were positive or not because you didn't take a test. Is probably the summary of this.
I did a flow test. I was
PCR.
Negative on that. Yeah. I don't know if that's any good.
Okay. Well, we've talked about the government guidance in terms of PCR being required to do that, as Rosalind has said. So I think we've drawn as many conclusions as we can around the PCR. Is that correct, everyone? Yeah. In terms of moving forward. So Claire also asked about your refusal to go to nursery placement.
Yeah.
And do you want to elaborate to Claire's point on that?
Yeah, I took adult nursing. Yeah.
Okay.
To work in a hospital, not to do what my sister used to do, like look after children.
Okay.
Yeah.
Claire, do you want to follow?
Okay. Yeah. No, Gary. I think I think you've misunderstood the benefit of a variety of placements in that case, because there will be many different types of placements that students will go on in the course of their program. Many. And it's not for you just to decide that you're not going to pitch up to one placement because you don't want to be in that area. That's again, this is the concern we have. It's about following instructions.
Well, I don't know, but if they told me they were going to kick me off the course if I didn't attend, I might have attended. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
If that's logical.
Okay, so that would be your only reasoning for attending.
No, I didn't want to attend it because I knew it wasn't going to be. I just knew it wasn't going to relate to doing a degree in adult nursing because I didn't choose paediatric nursing.
Okay.
Or child nursing. I didn't see the relationship, to be honest.
So you can't see that there could be any other benefits at all from attending a placement such as that in terms of multidisciplinary working?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Gary, and just to follow up on that, just to clarify, did you attend preparation for practice sessions as part of induction to your program, where the outline of placement patterns would have been shared with you?
I'm not actually. Can you elaborate?
I'm just aware that if all programs have an induction to practice, which outlines the placements and the nature of placements and the regulations, such as the EC directives around different placements. I was just wondering if you attended those sessions.
Yeah, we did attend those. You mean like health and safety? Yeah.
Well, it was about introduction to placements.
Was it actually in the university itself?
Yes, introduction to practice learning and introduction to placements.
Yes, I remember them. Yeah.
And did you receive a nursery handbook?
No.
Okay. Or directed to do it. Okay. Claire, anything further?
Nothing further from me, Kathy. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we're at 3:05 at the moment. Is there any other areas of inquiry that people wish to follow at the moment?
I just have one area, and it's just to get an understanding of what you think is required of registrants when they enter the profession in terms of health and character, and what you as a member of the public using the service might expect for the professionals and education providers to assess and to gatekeep on behalf of the professional bodies.
Are you asking me that question? Yeah.
I am, yeah.
I'm expecting.
What would you expect as a member of the public?
As a patient.
As a patient receiving a professional service, what would you expect of that registrant?
I expect the 6 C's.
I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Compassion. I could say. I mean, I'll go a bit into it a bit further. I expect empathy. I expect probably above average interpersonal skills to communicate well with doctors and the like and my family. I expect the attention and needs of my body wherever my ailments were. Psychologically, I expect to be connected and sort of depended upon, yeah. And I expect aftercare as well. Maybe a lead off to social workers or to other agents in the community, so that my rehabilitation will be optimized, yeah.
And
But
what are
just professionalism, I
the
suppose.
what are the health and character requirements that you would expect somebody to sign up to?
To be a nurse.
Yes, given that you have to register at the end of the program, and what degree of probity and integrity would you expect?
Well, transparency, honesty, professionalism, conscientiousness, also, I was going to say whistleblowing, but not whistleblowing, obviously. An ability to face challenges head on, and work with other people to resolve them. I've never been a nurse, yeah. So it's like asking me, ask me. You're asking me questions, at a very embryonic stage. I mean, I've been a patient, and all of the nurses have been very. You've just been very amicable and very professional and competent as well, yeah.
And from my professional body, we are expected to be able to account for our students when they're on placement, and to be able to account for their health, their integrity, their probity, and their honesty and professionalism. And I see that is the same requirement of the nursing professionals and nursing educators. When they take people on the course, there has to be a reasonable prospect of people being able to meet the registration requirements. So, as part of our programme, we make it very clear when we're doing professional practice and preparation for professional practice that those are the measures that we hold our students up to, and we're able to say at the end of the course and at various points through the programme that our students are meeting those requirements. So, I mean, have you had similar teaching and developmental sessions for you to be able to understand that registration process?
I've only done probably less than 1 year on, it's.
But when you go on to a placement,
Yes.
You said you had some preparation, but was it covered that that there was a code that you had to adhere to?
We did some work on Moodle with Adrian.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know who Adrian is. He's one of the nurse leaders. So
Okay.
we did quite a lot of work online, so it's kind of different.
I'm just trying to get to the point you actually understand what is required, because I don't want to throw information at you when you're not aware of it. But it is important for our decision making that you understand it, and you understand the reasons why it is that we're making our decisions.
Yes, I understand. Every job has policies and protocol and rules and regulations.
Yeah.
And maybe I wasn't fully aware of how serious breaking some of those rules were. Well, I am now. Yeah.
Okay.
Gary, thank you, Siobhan. Gary, can I just ask, slightly related to that, within your response, you have delivered everything in capitals, block capitals to us, some of which is bold. Is there a reason for that?
Maybe frustration.
Okay.
I'm mellowing out now, obviously. I just have to cut my losses. It was, it's not anger or anything, nothing malice. It's just, sometimes I just get frustrated, but I guess it was a bit childish, yeah. So.
Okay. In terms of the elements that you've written, we've addressed a number of them today in response to your appeal. we have touched on issues around the way that you have conducted yourself in emails towards people, how people have responded, and how they have felt at times due to your response in relation to that, and a lot of that was explored earlier as well. Some of your defences that you are just starting a programme, but I think Siobhan has explored some of that with you in terms of, you know, and you have identified the need for good communication skills, interpersonal skills, etc. From any member of the public, never mind having someone on being a full registrant, which obviously you're not at this stage. The other, Claire picked up the stuff from the placement team, so that was which you, I believe, were saying that you didn't hang up the phone. You no time you were rude to Ellen and Marino. Though, you know, I think the original panel and reasons rationale for putting through to fitness of practice completely disagreed with you on that because of the nature and tone of the emails that you sent in relation to that, but we've explored that a little bit further today. DBS is here, you know, in a lot of your, and we've just explored DBS, I think, at length today. The one thing that we probably haven't stated here is that you do not understand why a reflective statement for evidence was required. But, you know, I think the team probably would refer you back to that being policy and in your essential guide for anyone who discloses something on a DBS. So we've dealt with some of that today as well. I think, I mean, do you feel that you have had the opportunity to have your say today in terms of this appeal in the areas that you wish to?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Any other comments from panel?
No, thank you.
Not for me, thanks, Cathy. No.
Okay, all right. So, Gary, as discussed, in terms of the appeal process, you came alone today. We know that you were invited to be accompanied by a friend. I mean, you asked could Autumn accompany you, which I'm aware of, which obviously...
Just forget it. Yeah.
What do you mean, forget it?
I mean, I don't think she was qualified, or that she was... I don't think she could. She wasn't allowed to, was she? So...
No. So we will, as it says, you will be advised of decision of the appeal within 5 working days of the meeting. As I've identified, there's no further internal right to appeal against that decision or complaints. And if student is dissatisfied with the outcome, she may be able to apply for a review of the appeal decision to the OIA. So that's where that sits at the moment. But we will have, obviously we have the notes of the whole panel meeting today, which you will obviously have a copy with a appeal decision in relation to today, whether it's upheld or not upheld within 5 working days. I recognise, or we all recognise, that this has taken some time to get to this stage, and mainly due to COVID, pandemic, staff being off, staff holidays. So for a number of reasons, it has taken us longer than expected to get here today. So thank you for your patience with that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for attending, Gary.
Okay, no problem. I just have I'm still going to have a problem with the idea that I spent a whole year knowing that I gave my DBS and that I've got nothing to show for it, and I can't go to another university without having to tell them what happened at Middlesex. I've still got a problem with that, yeah? So you're going to have to expect me to be a little bit, you know, like what's that all about? Yeah? I mean, I thought, yeah, like you said about the time limits, it's like so long. I mean, it's nearly 2022 now, yeah? I understand your positions, I understand your thinking processes, but you've got to look at it from my position just sometimes, because now I'm in debt for 25,000 and I don't have a university to go to anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go abroad now to get educated. Yeah. If this doesn't work out, and it all comes down to just my personality. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just a misfit. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, Gary. As identified, there were numerous reasons for the referral to fitness to practice, and not just based on DBS. So obviously that was one element. So Gary, you're going to have to wait for the outcome and then take any due process from there in relation to this appeal. So I don't feel I can address any of the other issues that you have raised at this stage until we know the outcome of this appeal process.
But the bottom line is, I wouldn't have gone to study or put myself forward for nursing, a professional qualification, with a DBS if I was rejected on the spot. I would have just done law. I would have just gone to another university. I wouldn't have wasted my time. That's what this is all about. It's just wasting time. Yeah, that's 1 year that I can't get back. Yeah.
Okay.
And all because of your DBS team. They should have just kicked me out before the course started, and then I could have gone into clearing, and I could have done law. I could have done something else, just sociology even. I just want to learn. You see, I just want to be educated. This is a waste of time. Yeah.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to draw this to a close now, Gary.
Okay.
Thank you for today.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining the panel. And so I'll draw this meeting to a close.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
Cheers.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Gary.
Bye.